Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Yoga Corner. Happy Friday, March 24th. My name is Shelby Phoenix. I'm a yoga instructor, life coach, and owner of the Yoga Corner. I help yoga teachers and entrepreneurs with marketing and mindset by guiding them to find unshakable self-trust so they can manifest a lifestyle as a yoga entrepreneur. Joined by Calandra Martin. Calandra is an intuitive brand designer helping women cultivate magnetic brands that feel deeply aligned. She's also a mom of two, a holistic wellness nerd, a plant mom, and a dog rescue volunteer. We met when we were in the same coaching program, and I was intrigued by her intuitive and magical approach to her business. And today we're going to be chatting about intuitive branding and how to take your brand to the next level. Without further ado,
thanks
welcome.
For having me. So excited to chat.
Yay, so excited. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join us.
We're juggling all the things over here, babies and dogs and the whole thing.
Oh, you're amazing. I just have a cat and I can barely juggle that. I like to start these interviews by guiding us through a few deep breaths together. Is that okay with you? Okay. And anyone else who's listening, I invite you to join us as well. Settle into wherever surface you're sitting on. Relax your shoulders. Sit up nice and tall. And if it's safe to do so, close your eyes. Empty all the air out of your lungs with your belly. Push it out. And then slowly begin to inhale through your nose, expanding your belly, your rib cage, your collarbone, and then letting it all go. We'll do two more like that. Inhale through the nose, big belly breath. And get empty. One more deep grounding breath. Fill up all the way to the top. And then big sigh out. Whenever you feel ready, open your eyes and come back to this space. I love that you're wearing a purple sweater because I feel like that's your color.
It's funny because it's my color, but since having my daughter, I've been wearing a lot of pink. So I'm very contradictory with like what my vibe is. It's like, is it my vibe or her vibe? What's going on?
Right. How old
so my
are
son's
your
5, almost
kids?
6, and my daughter is almost 7 months. So we have a good age gap.
Yeah. And
yeah,
you
we have 2 rescue dogs, 2 kitties. They're handfuls, but we love them.
Well, I wanted to start by giving you the opportunity to introduce yourself and your business.
The bio really said it all. I'm an intuitive brand designer, and that has been quite the evolution to get to this point, and it feels kind of like home to come into that title, if you will. It took me a lot of trial and error to come to that and realize that that's what I'm here to do and how I am meant to serve, particularly women. I started out in the online space and network marketing and kind of jumped around from thing to thing. When my son was born, I went all in with making an online business happen, which I really didn't have a choice with. I was faced with either sending him to daycare and working to pay for daycare, or to figure out how to make money from home and to be able to be with him, which was really the ultimate goal anyways. And now we homeschool, so it really has evolved into this perfect lifestyle. Started out doing some virtual assistant work and then really quickly fell in love with design and how naturally that came to me. And it's just been a lot of fun. I've been connecting with so many incredible women that are doing really big things. They have great visions and missions, and to be a part of that has been so special and really just a transformative experience for me and for them to be able to show up more authentically.
That's really exciting that you, through filling your vision of being able to stay home with your kids and develop that lifestyle, you're able to now help other people grow
Yeah,
their
it's a total full
vision. It's like full
circle. Like I
circle.
had that realization one day, like, oh, I did the thing, and now I'm like creating ripple effect for other people to do the same.
Yeah. So let's start
Sure.
really basic.
Yeah.
What
So
is
branding is one of these
branding?
things that it's so intangible and tangible at the same time that people are like, okay, branding is a logo, but it's really so much more than that. And a lot of people come to me and they think, okay, I need a logo and I need a website, and then I'll be good to go. There are so many levels to branding, and I always start with having people really tune into their vision and their mission and their values. Those are like the foundational pieces for any brand strategy. So you have your strategy, you have your messaging, the thing that you're meant to do, the way that you are presenting yourself to people. And then you have the visual aspect of branding, which is the fun part, right? That's where everybody wants to start, but you really can't start there.
Yeah.
And you can start there, but there's usually a lot of like working backwards from that. But that is your colors, your fonts that you're using in your visuals. It's the textures and patterns that you're using, your logo, if you have a vision to have a logo in your business. And I always tell people with logos that like that's not the first place to start. It's probably like the least important thing unless you are building a product-based business. But for personal branding in particular, which is where I specialize, your logo is kind of irrelevant. So you have your strategy, you have your visuals, and then I like to speak to the energetics of a brand as well. And this is really where the intuitive branding comes in and where I specialize in, because when I'm listening to somebody's vision and mission, I'm able to tap into the energy of that. And that's really like stepping into the expansion of maybe you're not there yet, but you know that that's where you're going. And so how can we tie those visuals and strategy together to get you to that point? And align your energy in a way where you feel really confident in showing up in that, and not like you're faking it to make it, but you're like stepping into that version of yourself embodiment from the get-go.
Yeah. When I started my business, I definitely must happen to so many people. I was like, all right, first things first, what's my logo gonna look like? And then second thing, how do I make my website? Even though I didn't have I didn't know what my values were or even what I was offering. So there was like that working backwards of like, okay, I have this website, but it doesn't really represent anything in particular.
It's so common. Almost every client that comes to me, they've like tried to DIY their website in some fashion, and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, actually you do, but we need some process and systems here.
Right. So if a lot of us want to start with like the tangible of like the logo or the website or the colors, where should someone start when they're building their brand?
I learned through trial and error, because I was also the person who created a website. I created like 6 websites in the span of 3 years. So like I've been there, I've been in the trenches. And none of it worked, right? Like I found that my business was not growing and I was getting frustrated with it. Let me fix the baby bottle so that she doesn't start screaming, hopefully. Thankfully, she put off her nap until very late in the morning. And so I did all of those things and it didn't work. What did work was showing up messy and putting offers out there that I thought would align with my audience and getting to know the people that were following me, quite frankly. Because on social media, we can have this perception of what people want just based on what you're seeing other people in your industry doing. But if you're not having conversations, if you're not engaging with people, then it's really hard to understand where that strategy comes in. So yes, have your vision, understand what your mission is, understand an idea of what your offers might look like, and then really trial and error to see what aligns with not only your audience, but what you really want to be doing and how you want to structure your day and your business, because that's really going to help with the energetics of your brand where you're not feeling like you're pushing,
Yeah.
you know, a snowball uphill. It's going to come with that ease and flow, which is in turn going to give you that energy and excitement in your business to show up. And then
Yeah.
from there, you can start understanding what the visuals might look like later down the road. And with that being
Right.
said, obviously you'll probably need some sort of visual presence. Brand photos are a great way to get started. If you can hire a brand photographer, even better. I started out with a
Yeah.
tripod in my iPhone, so like that's also an option. But just start capturing yourself and noticing patterns as you're capturing your presence and your energy of what are some of the things that you're seeing repeat patterns of. Like for me, purple sweaters, like shiny jewelry. Like those are all things that I've infused into my visuals now that I didn't notice
Right.
before until I started really like showing up.
Yeah. I notice with my clients and people I'm talking to in my corner of social media that there's this perception that if you are like marketing yourself like you're gonna be annoying or salesy or like whatever, wrong energy. And then there's at the same time this fear of like showing up authentically or
Yeah.
maybe showing up at all. So I how can someone start to get out of their comfort zone a little bit and kind of match the energy to what they want to put
So
out there
I like to look
authentically?
at this in the sense of the type of content that you're creating. I teach people, you know, the pillars of content when you're sharing on social media, and then the frequency of like how often are you showing up. And so you kind of have to find what feels good to you in the season that you're in. When you're first starting out, maybe that means you're posting once
Right.
a month because it's terrifying to get something out on social media for people to see that's published publicly. I know for a lot of people that's like a hurdle.
Right.
You also want to understand like what parts of you and your brand are you sharing. Like for me, I'm super open. I've been sharing my kids from the get-go. I've been sharing my lifestyle from the get-go because I was comfortable in doing that. But for some people, that's not something that they want to share. And so you just have to know, and this kind of aligns
Right.
with your values of how you want people to perceive you and what bits of yourself you want to be sharing. If you're somebody who's personal and private and you don't want to share your kids or your dogs or whatever behind the scenes, there are other things that you can be talking about. So be
Yeah.
thinking about storytelling in your brand. What types of stories are you telling?
Yep.
Are you telling client success stories? Are you talking about lessons that you've learned through your lifestyle? For me, I'm always like relating my business and my brand to becoming a mom and how that has like
Yeah.
catapulted me into this whole new world of self-discovery. And then also be thinking about what you can teach and what you can share from a perspective of positioning yourself as an expert. And that's really the easiest
Yeah.
place for a lot of people to start is like, I can teach you 3 ways to XYZ. Like if that's how you need to get started and
Right.
just get comfortable and familiar with doing that, then start doing that and expand as you go.
Right. One thing that I genuinely don't know, so probably other people don't either. What's the difference between branding and
They go
marketing?
hand in hand because when you're sharing your marketing, there's strategies in place, there's different ways to be presenting your message, and the foundation of that is your brand. So everything that you are writing,
Right.
everything that you are talking about, your content pillars, the platforms that you're using, you're infusing your brand into that. And in most cases, that's just going to come naturally without you really having to put a lot of thought into it. And then you'll look back in hindsight and say, oh,
Right.
that is my brand. Like, oh, I do talk about that all the time. So it's not necessarily,
Yeah.
you know, it's the chicken and the egg. Like, which one comes first? They go
Yeah.
hand in hand. They work really beautifully together. I will say that the marketing is a lot easier when you have that foundation to stand on. And like I found that out years after being in my business and cultivating my own brand. I was like, oh, now I know that these are the things that I'm talking about and this is what's landing with people. Yeah.
Right. I think it's interesting, like even just on my own Instagram, and now I kind of do it on like other people's Instagrams if I like really am interested in what they're putting out there. Like when I first started my branding, like I had all these like crazy Canva designs and it was pink and green and like way overcomplicated, and now like my
Mm-hmm.
colors are just like gray and black. Like total opposite, but more aligned and authentic. So I think that's part of like the evolution, right? Like whatever you put out there when you're
No,
starting isn't set in stone. It will change
not
and
at
grow
all.
with you. I think that's something that people
Yeah,
are afraid of too a
absolutely.
little bit.
I did that, right? Like I look back on my designs and like I'm a designer, but I look back on my designs from 2017 and I'm mortified of like what was I thinking? But you have to go through that process of like discovering really how you want to position yourself and what you want people to be seeing and how you want to be perceived, and that's where the branding
Right.
comes in. So it is kind of a matter of like getting messy, allowing yourself that process of like
Yeah.
failing forward and maybe making a fool out of yourself, and then that is where that clarity comes in.
Right.
Totally.
You have to go through
And
the
if you're not, then
trenches.
like I don't know, the experience is just so much different.
Right. So if someone has been maybe an entrepreneur for a while, maybe they have a little bit of a foundation for their brand, or they're feeling a little bit more confident showing up, how can
Yeah,
someone
that's my
elevate their brand?
that's my jam. That's where I've really been able to help people with like getting to that next level, because establishing your brand, like
Right.
there's a lot of groundwork that has to be done, but once you have an idea of who you serve, you've worked with clients, you kind of know what your offer suite looks like, you know how you're showing up in the world, but you want to bring it to the next level. It's really identifying first where
Right.
you're at. Like do an audit of your brand as a whole, your visual presence, your
Yeah.
messaging, your emails, your social media, like all of those things. And then really understanding where you want to go from there. Because it's one thing to be like, okay, I need
Yeah.
to elevate my brand, like time for that next level. Cool. What does that look like? Does that mean news
Right.
publications? Does that mean that you're speaking on stage? Does that mean that you're getting more podcast interviews? Does that mean that you are scaling your business to a new revenue level? Whatever that looks like, that's going to help guide you in what steps to be taking and elevating.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a matter of like really small tweaks and repositioning. Like my brand in the last year has had really small visual tweaks that have up leveled the way that the brand is perceived at Magnetic Boss Studio. I haven't done a complete overhaul. Like you still see the purple, you still see the sparkles, but there's a little bit of a difference in the
Yeah.
way that things are positioned as well as messaging. So all of those things kind of have to come
Right.
into play, both your visuals, your messaging, and again, your energetics. Like, do you believe that you're ready to go to that next level? Are you ready to elevate on an energetic level?
Yeah. Um, so what about a brand makes it magnetic
One of my
to your
favorite
ideal
questions. I love that
clients?
you're asking such great questions. So magnetism really comes from the energetic positioning of a brand. And what I like to tell people is that what you do can be exactly the same as what somebody else does, but you're going to do it
Yeah.
differently in some way, or you're going
Yeah.
to have a message that's a little bit different or experiences that are a little bit different. And so those are the things in branding that are going to set you apart. It's not having a perfect logo. It's not redesigning your website. Those things help for sure.
Yeah.
But it's really the level of belief that you have in yourself in showing up and serving.
Yeah. 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 It's kind of like, well, okay, so like my clients are all yoga teachers pretty much. Like we're all teaching some iteration of the same thing. And there is there can sometimes be this feeling of competition, but I say to my clients the same thing, like people are coming to your yoga class for you, not necessarily for the yoga, because they can get that anywhere they want. um what might be like a specific example of something that someone might share that can make their brand
Yeah, I
more
actually was
magnetic?
speaking to this yesterday in my stories of kind of your personality being the thing, the
Yeah.
attractor. And like
Right.
the things that you think, oh, well, you know, everybody does this, or my life is super boring.
Right.
Like screaming babies, for example, in the background. I might have to get in the back seat with her. But like those are the things that are going to set you apart from your quote
Yeah.
unquote competition.
Right. You do what you got to
I'm in
do,
the
mom.
back seat. We're going to get out. And like these are the things that maybe your ideal audience isn't a mom and they don't get it. But for me, like my clients get it. They enjoy it. They resonate with it.
Yeah.
They are appreciative of the fact that I'm showing them how they can build a brand and also juggle babies at the same time, and do all the
Right.
things and be a multitasker.
Yes. I was going to ask, and it's just the timing is just this way to kind of come to a wrap up because I cannot speak to this. And I do have people who follow who are moms and are entrepreneurs or would like to be entrepreneurs, or maybe are entrepreneurs and would like to be moms. What's something that you would share with another mom to empower her to take on these challenges? Hi, cutie.
Sorry, her headband's falling. She's a mess. It's so cute. Repeat the last half of that.
Yeah, of course. What would you say to another mom entrepreneur, or someone hoping to be, that would empower them to take
Yeah,
on
I
that
would say that
challenge?
really tap into what you value most. And in most cases, for moms, that is time spent with your children. That is setting an example for
Yeah.
what is possible to your children, and living for them. There's a really
Yeah.
great quote that gets shared around on social media of like, yes, you die for your children, but would you live for them? Would you step into what's
Yeah.
possible for you, for them? Because it's certainly not easy.
Yeah.
Like, this is not ideal. I would much rather, in some scenarios, in cases, like almost on a weekly basis, I'm like, man, wouldn't it be nice if I could just like sit in my office in my house and have things be quiet and like grow my business? But then the other
Yeah.
part of me is like, no, actually, I wouldn't, because look at what I get to do, right? Like, I get to build this business, create this
Yes.
vision, and raise these babies and watch every single minute of their life, which is amazing.
Oh, yes, it's like a gift to them to put in like that really hard work as much as a gift to
Exactly.
yourself.
It's like, yes, it supports you, but it also supports them.
Yeah. Is there any offers that you have that you are
Yeah. There's so
would
many that
like to
kind of
share
apply
about?
to this conversation. The first one being the Elevate Your Brand quiz, which is totally free and it's on my website. And that's for the entrepreneur that is getting established and you're really wondering like where you're at. Again, evaluating like where you are, where you want to go, and what steps do you need to take to get there. And that's really going to guide you through my offer suite as well. My signature offer that I'm accepting clients for right now is the brand incubator, which is the full on process where we look at your strategy, your visuals, your energetics. We create your website, we create the pretty things, all of your graphics that you might need. It's a very one-on-one high touch experience, and it's my favorite way to work with people. And that's on my website as well.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to share with our
Permission to be
audience?
you. I think that that is super important
Yeah.
because your brand, as we've said many times in this conversation, is a reflection of you. It's a reflection of what your vision is. It's a reflection of where you're going. And if you're blocking yourself from doing those things because you're scared that somebody's going to judge you or you're not going to be successful, you're not going to get there. So it's really just a matter of allowing yourself to fail forward, to be yourself fully and authentically. And that's what's going to start magnetizing those clients and whatever vision it is that you're trying to call into you.
Yes. I want to say thank you one more time for being here, and for sharing all your knowledge, and everything you have to
Yeah, thanks so
offer.
much
We
for
really
having me and
appreciate
for
it.
coming along for the ride with the kiddos.
Of course. I hope you
Thanks,
have an
you too.
amazing rest of your day.
Bye.
All right, bye.